Well, what's going on, folks? We got the running start going here. This is the Friday version of the mess around, and we are welcome. We got pretty much the whole crew. One of these days, we get everybody back in. But Mr. Hirsch is not going to be able to join us today, but we do have Baltimore Blayne. Coach Shayne is back in. He was on for the coaches show last night, but once again, want to congratulate him and his team, his fighter, on having a great week last week when we missed him. Missed him for draft week. And we're going to talk a little bit about the draft. I know we've kind of hit on that in a couple of different ways, and I'm sure all of you have read a ton about it. But we have Baltimore Blayne in tonight. And there's a couple of things we talked about last night, and I want to get his opinion on. And I held off on really getting into the Ravens because I was really interested in their draft, and I wanted to wait until the expert got in. But before that, just for all our Browns fans, I'm sorry.
Is that me?
Yeah, just for all our, I know how much you love the Bengals and how people who follow you love to hear you talk about the Bengals. Did you hear that? I'm sorry, the Browns. Did you hear that they kept the number one pick away from Coach Hugh Jackson until 24 hours before the draft because they didn't trust the information?
I heard something to that effect, and I didn't know whether to give it any weight or not. But that is pretty. Why would you do that?
Same reason they did it to John Falk last year, because he's not going to be in the picture next year.
That's a sad showing, though.
We ragged hard enough on the Raiders and John Gruden having his own little board in the corner. We'll let off the Raiders for today.
Hey, it's going to pay off. You just wait and see.
So I want to start off with something super positive. And it is a Seattle story, but it's not a Seahawks story per se. The very first player with, I don't know what you want to say after deformity, but the first player without a hand or with some type of issue like that was drafted. Happened to have been drafted on the same team as his twin brother. For those of you who don't know the story, they're twins. One of the twins had a problem with his hand at a very, very early age and lost it. But they've been inseparable as brothers their entire life. When Shaquille, who played as a rookie on the Seahawks last year, started at right corner, he was given a free ride to pretty much anywhere he wanted to go. A lot of them were big schools, and he told every school that unless you give my twin brother a ride, I'm not going. And so they ended up going to UCF, and they both ended up absolutely tearing it apart. Kid's a linebacker. He runs a 3.34. He was first team all conference in the ACC down there, and he was just an absolute beast. And it's just a really cool story because the Seahawks ended up drafting him, and the brothers are together in the pros. They stuck together, let their dream come together, and I think he's not gonna displace KJ Wright at linebacker, but he's gonna be a speed demon on special teams, situational pass rusher, a nickel. Linebacker. He can fill in if someone gets hurt. I mean, the sky's the limit, but the kid's on the field. He's in a good program, and he's playing with his brother. So I just wanted to quickly get Blayne, your kind of thoughts on the story, and then Coach Shayne on just, how cool that could be mentally to have those two guys next to each other pushing. So, Blayne, did you read about the story? What did you think about it?
I thought it was a great story. The only thing that pissed me off was I wanted to draft him because he was, he wasn't invited to the combine, and under public pressure, they finally did let him come to the combine, and he showed off, man. I mean, he made himself known. He showed that he belonged at the combine, and I think it's a feel good story. I think it's a great story that he gets to play next to his brother, and props to Seattle.
Yeah. And they picked him up in the 5th round. I mean, it's not a charity pick at all. I mean, the kid runs 3.34 and weighs 225 pounds. I mean, that's right up Seattle's alley. Bobby Wagner runs a 4.4. It's good when you.
He's got game.
Oh yeah, no, a kid can play. If you don't believe that, and they picked him up in the 5th round. Seattle had 8 picks on the 3rd day. I think it worked out perfect for him. Coach, what do you think about that? Just besides, just the human side of you, What do you think about what can that do mentally to have those two guys on the same team together?
Well, first off, I did follow him in college as well. I do have family in Florida, so that's why. So I do pick my Miami Hurricanes and the rest of my college teams down there. But when he was out there on the field, you could see teams trying to go after him, thinking that they could get through him and et cetera. And he outfoxed them tremendously. He can read plays really well too. That's something that I think everybody's forgetting too, is that he could read the plays while they were happening out there. So it wasn't like I'm just stopping the run or I'm just trying to tag along with somebody. He knew what was going on. He does his homework really, really well in that film room, that you could tell. So in his college days there, he did an awesome job. And being invited to the camp like he went out there and he made a statement, which I thought was just fantastic on his part, but it was all his natural abilities. This is everything he's already got. It's not like you show up to a combine camp and say, okay, I better flip the switch and show you exactly what I'm made of. Because no, I've been doing this all year. I've been ready for this time. And that's what he did there. And that's what opened up a lot of people's eyes. And really, I mean, look at the hand is not there. He was using the club in some ways just to help protect it, whatever it was. So yeah, balls coming his way, fumbles, etc. It's not going to be a Mr. Pick'em and go all the time. But the thing is, the guy can wrap you up. He can do everything. He can chase you down. He can cause a distraction out there. This guy is going to make a huge impact on that team, especially on special teams. That's a big thing, and I think that's going to be awesome for him. His brother is more than happy about it, and that's a huge, huge plus. That team is going to do really well, I think, when it comes to grooming him for this league. I think he is a good fit. I think Coach Carroll is going to do a great job with him, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways Seahawks can use him. We were talking about Bruce Irvin, the Raider now, who just made the top 100 on NFL's top 100. That speed rusher on the side in certain situations, also, just kind of floating back a bit. Something that this is a little bit out there, but he would make, if he could make this transition, he would make a great substitution for Cam Chancellor. If Cam doesn't come back from his neck injury or whatever happens with that, I think down the road he's almost as big as Cam, not quite as tall, but he's faster. I mean, he's a linebacker playing safety, which is what they had in Cam Chancellor. But now they can find someone even faster.
What happened there also today in Seattle with what's his name failing his physical?
Oh, Cliff Averill. Yeah. He was a long shot. I mean, he hurt his neck.
Exactly.
He and Cam.
So now you got another guy that can also come in though too. You know what I mean? In some ways, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got guys that are filling in these holes because of these unfortunate situations of injury. So I think it's a good pickup by Seattle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be cool to see him in the Legion of Boom. I don't know if they'll still call it that, in a couple of years, but in that secondary, him playing strong safety with his brother out there, I think that'd be a cool look. I don't know if he has the game or the hips to play safety, but if anyone could teach him, it'd be Pete. So talking about this draft, I want to take everyone back 1 year ago around this time, and Baltimore Blayne and I were talking about the last draft, and the Ravens passed on O.J. Howard, didn't get a tight end, and then their entire tight end room got injured and half of them retired. And I don't remember what happened. It was just one of those Baltimore Ravens stories. And Blayne was mad during the draft. He was mad when it happened. And they did get Humphreys, who turned out to be a good player. 1 year later, after this draft, Blayne, before we break down the entire Baltimore draft, are you okay with not having Howard yet? Are you still? Do you think it worked out for the better in the end?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we picked up Aiden Hurst with the 25th pick, and it looks like we did what we should have done last year. Was well, I can't say that because Humphrey is a good player. I don't hate Humphrey. I don't hate the pick anymore. But it was just that at that time you're talking about getting Joe Flacco weapons, and you weren't doing it. You had a chance to get Joe Flacco a weapon, and I know Howard didn't pan out for very much with the Buccaneers, but you got to understand that Flacco and the Ravens' offensive scheme uses the tight end a lot more than the Buccaneers do. They would have utilized O.J. Howard. He would have been right. He would have been pushed into the offense right away. You would have seen him get more snaps. So, I mean, I'm liking the Hayden Hurst deal or pick now. I didn't like it when it happened because you had at 22 the Ravens traded back from 16 to 22. You had DJ Moore sitting there. You had your punt returner. Yeah, you had your future wide receiver that you could groom and grow, and you screwed around and you keep trading back. And one of my friends on that I watch football with said it best. He says you're trading quality for quantity, and and these draft picks might work out. I mean, they got a couple of nice receivers in the later rounds. We'll see how they pan out. But I can't. Yeah, I just don't get. But then again, I understand. I understand Ozzy, and
he can't get him right. He can't get him wrong. He can't pick them when they're ready, and he picks the wrong ones. I mean, he's just that's his one Achilles heel is his wide receivers. But it looks like later on you guys pick up.
I like Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, you picked up Mark Andrews.
Say it again.
You picked up Mark Andrews. Picked up Orlando Brown, who played side by side in college at Oklahoma. He picked up another Alabama.
And his father played. There's another good news story, a goodwill story that feel good story, I should say. His father played with the Ravens and the Browns but he played with the Ravens. He played next to Jonathan, along with Jonathan Ogden. And Orlando Brown Jr. grew up in the Ravens locker room, basically. Cool. He's also his technique. He says is different from his father. His father didn't start playing until I believe tackle until college or high school, and Orlando Jr.'s reach is longer, and his father had him, or I believe he said his father told him to learn the technique of Jonathan Ogden.
Yeah, that's
a good.
I would agree with that. I'd agree with that.
So that's because you got two tight ends that came out of this draft. You got Mark Andrews, you got Hayden Hurst, and then let's see, you had Orlando Brown. You also had the receiver Scott Jaleel Scott with the one-handed grab video in the back of the end zone. His claim to fame in college, and you have one that Jordan Lastly that's fascinating. He has some off the field issues. He's a little problem. Little red flags going up, and Ravens usually stay away from that. But it'd be interesting to see. He looks like a baller. So,
all right. So we're gonna fire a couple questions at you. I want to kind of get your thoughts on something, Coach Shayne. They picked up the kid from Louisville at the very end of the first round, who's one of those fantastic athlete quarterbacks. I know Coach Taylor last night on the coaches show was telling us that he thought that the kid should be pro ready. I think he's a little bit raw. What do you think? And then, what do you want to ask Blayne about use of the kid? Because I kind of want to know what you two think on how they could use him, and maybe Blayne knows something. But what do you think about them taking that kid, as possibly a Swiss Army knife or a backup for Flacco?
Yeah, well, I mean, like we said yesterday, I mean, with Coach Taylor, is that Louisville in college run a system that's getting closer to what you're going to get in the pros. So the kid does have that type of a feel in which, he understands how the system is, the pace of it, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem is that I've always said you're going to another level, coming out of college. Look at when Carson Wentz and Jared Goff came in. Heck, Jared Goff sat the bench for a long time. And I understand it was Coach Fisher who made him ride that bench. But, I mean, it was still an eye-opener for both of these guys in that way. You got to get your feet wet. Now, playing behind Flacco out there is something where he's going to have to understand and say, okay, there's a big difference between these two bodies. Flacco's going to sit in that pocket Lamar there, he's going to be able to get out of that pocket and go like a Dickens if he has to. I mean, there's no question about it. So they do have some luxuries. There's no question. And I do think, though, that he needs to get himself more accustomed to what the pace is going to be like, but as well as what type of offensive system are the Ravens running? Because like I said, every guy that gets drafted, you have to understand the system. And these coaches are picking guys to say, I think this person can fit in our system. They're the best at it right now. This is the one we can groom for it. So I don't think there's really going to be any problems with him going there. And let's put it this way. If he can improve really quick and something, does happen in that quarterback situation, and they can throw him out there, I mean, it's good for him. It's good for that team. But like I said, I don't believe he's going to go in there and start taking anybody's starting spot. I don't think any of these guys that just got drafted are going to be taking anybody's starting spot right away, except maybe what's his name for the Jets. But he already fumbled the ball right off the hop during snap, so it ain't looking too good for him already. But like I said, it's going to be interesting. But I do like him, though. I like that pick that the Ravens did. And I think this kid's got a lot to prove out there due to the fact that he went to the last pick as well. He's going to come out there. He's going to set an example and make a statement.
All right, Blayne, what do you think about that? And what do you think about the pick? And how do you think that your guys are going to use them?
I love the pick. I love the fact also that the Ravens went back into the first round to pick Lamar Jackson, as opposed to taking him in the second round, because now they got the 5th-year option to use him. Still have him under control for 5 years instead of 4. I think that he's going to get a chance to watch Joe Flacco, a pocket passer, on the pro level up close. Whether Joe is going to help him out or not, I mean, I don't know what kind of we'll see what kind of relationship they have. Although Joe and Tyrod Taylor had a great relationship, but Joe didn't feel Tyrod taking his job away.
One thing though, Blayne, what is Flacco's contract still with this team? What's his contract still?
Well, he's under contract, I believe, for another 3 years.
Is it 3 years or 2? Okay, because that might make a bit of a difference on some things too.
I think here's the deal. After next year, from what I understand, it becomes more cap friendly to jettison them if they want to. Dead money is manageable, and his salary hit goes up, and he's got an enormous salary hit. I mean, he'd have to
renegotiate to get cut in the next couple of years.
Yeah. So there are some people
that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting there. That's what I'm saying on this.
Yeah, there's some people who are saying that that it's going to be that they're looking at Lamar Jackson probably taking over next year. I'm in the mindset that if Joe Flacco plays like I think he's going to play this year, that is going to be hard for them to, or he's not going to make it easy for them to just walk away from him. It also really depends on Lamar Jackson, how he develops. And the good thing that you have there in Baltimore, you have Greg Roman and Marty Mornhinweg, and I never thought I'd say, thank God we got Marty Mornhinweg. But I mean, I've criticized Marty, for his play calling for the last year and a half, and now it might be a blessing in disguise because he's the guy who was there with Michael Vick in Philadelphia, and when Michael Vick went to Philadelphia, he integrated packages for Michael Vick and eased him into the lineup. Greg Roman was with Kaepernick in San Francisco during the Super Bowl run. So, and then you have Urban, who's the quarterback coach, who was also in Philadelphia with Vick. Now, Michael Vick, I don't know if you got to see his comments, but as far as Lamar Jackson is concerned, he says Lamar Jackson is 5 times better than he was at this point in his career, and that he's legit. He said that what made him feel that Lamar Jackson was legit was the way that he saw Lamar Jackson take apart the Florida State Seminoles defense. So We'll see. We'll see how he develops. I think you'll see some packages probably for him this year. They tried that with Tyrod Taylor, with what's his name, Troy Smith, as well, back in at the beginning of Flacco's career. And Flacco really doesn't have a lot to say about it now. I mean, he's got to be a team player, or this train's going in a new direction. So I think I think that the system that they're going to incorporate is going to be something similar to what they have, but it's going to be a more mobile, definitely a more mobile, offense.
Hey, I can't get much less mobile.
Yeah, you need a wheelchair for Flacco.
As I'm saying that, I'm going like, yeah,
right,
that's not a stretch.
So in talking about Flacco being a mentor to the kid and how he's going to react and if he feels pushed, this next one's going to you first, there, Coach Shayne. Our good buddy Ben Roethlisberger sees the draft and loses it.
Yes.
He says, I want to be there for 4 or 5 years, and that kid's going to go in there to like, I don't want to piss off Ben. I'm not going to say anything to the kid. Ben's not going to help that kid at all. I mean, that just kind of shows the kind of guy he is. I mean, it's pretty pathetic. And on NFL this morning,
does that really surprise? Does that really surprise anyone
to the extent that he came out and said now he wants to play till he's like 4 or 5 more years, and I don't understand why. If they want to if they want to get the kid, they can get the kid. And I think it was NFL this morning. They were reading off his tweets that he sent out over the last year. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I bet my wife would like me to retire. All this stuff. And all of a sudden they draft a kid and he's like, I don't see why they wasted a pick on this kid. He's not going to come in. What did he say in the interview? I don't see how this is going to help us win now. But, I mean, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. It's not the kid's fault. If he wants to sit on like second or third string or whatever. Like, really? That's how you welcome a new teammate? I don't know. What do you think?
No, that's how you welcome your replacement. And this is what Ben is looking at right now. You got a guy whose ego is massive and too big, and you're right. Last year, you heard it all, the whining and complaining. I'm going to hang it up. I got the Jacksonville did damage to us like no tomorrow with those picks and everything else. And you got to say, just like New England also said the same thing. We need to start looking at getting ourselves a quarterback to be groomed to take over because things happen. So here's what I don't understand about some of these guys in that position, Ben, right off the hop here, of being so critical of it instead of saying, I need to embrace this because we do need in time. And you know what? If I do go down and I'm back and I'm out for 2 games or 2 weeks, whatever it might be, this kid can fill in or somebody can fill in and then bam, I'm back to it again. And keep the roll going. But that's not what these guys do. His ego is too big, and that's what's going to hurt that team more than anything. You don't slander the guys right off the hop like that. Get them in there already, man. And this is what I'm saying is that Pittsburgh, and we talked about this during the season, needed to look at another QB to come in because he's 1 hit away from being out, and that's end the story for him. But he's got his attitude and his ego that's just way too big. And I think this is what's going to start hurting this team a little bit more. What do you think there, Mr. Blayne?
Mute button, Blayne. Mute button.
Oh, come on, Blayne.
All right. Here I am.
Oh,
Hi.
I gave such a great speech and I get this dead air from Baltimore Blayne.
All right, so I'm hearing I don't know what I'm hearing. I'm hearing something in the background here. But okay, I'm sorry. Technical difficulties, folks. Ben Roethlisberger as a drama queen, king, whatever you want to call him, is not anything new. Here's a guy last year said he wanted to retire, then played like he wanted to retire for half of the season. And now that Pittsburgh finally picks a quarterback, which I don't understand when they, they picked a quarterback, what, third round, fourth round?
I think
What round was that?
I think he was second or third. He was the second day. I know that.
Okay, and now he's playing this "I'm Tom Brady" card, which he's not. He's not going to play till he's 40. It's childish. It's childish. I don't get. I didn't even think Ben was this low, that he would go this low, and try and sabotage. And I don't know why I don't understand why the Steelers didn't pick a quarterback higher. To be honest with you, because this has been knocking on their door for the last 3 years, and they've been trying to get a quarterback in there to groom and groom and groom. So, it didn't work with Landry. It didn't work with I forget the other guy's name a couple of years ago. Not working with him apparently, and now you have this crop of quarterbacks that you have a chance to really strike on, and you put them, you make it a third round choice, and you have been there sabotaging and pouting.
He does it every year. He complains about his other receivers, like, to the media instead of to the receiver. I mean, I think the Steelers just say, all right, whatever, man, we're gonna get as much as we can out of that arm, and then don't expect to get called back to any of the in the reunion parties.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that because everybody knows that Ben's done. I mean, he might play 1-2 years, and that's it. And it's just sad. It's just sad the way I see this. I mean, it's a rival. I'm glad it's not happening to us, and if it's going to happen to somebody, I'm glad it's happening to my rival. But I mean, that's an organization of class, man. I mean, and they deserve better than what he's representing right now. And it's sad to see. It's embarrassing for that organization, and it's sad to see him go out on looking like that.
What do you think, Coach? Anything else to say about Mr. Roethlisberger?
No, I mean, you covered everything. I mean, look, at all I know is you're going to get a lot of ticked off Pittsburgh fans right now because they feel we're bashing Ben. But in all honesty, those fans of Pittsburgh should be looking at their future and saying, we do need somebody to replace Ben. And that's, I think, what the bigger picture of all this. The organization understands that. Look, they're going to have more problems than you could imagine. You don't have a running back who's possibly not showing up for camp, because of the franchise tags and everything else. You've got defensive struggles as well out there. You're going to have a lot of issues in that locker room. So for them to make a draft pick, I mean, I feel sorry for the kid that just got drafted in the third there, and to already hear this and know what you're going into. I mean, it's hostile territory already, and you got to go out there and try to wow everybody. This kid needs to keep his head on straight and just do his thing and play his game. That's all he can do. And if he does that, he's going to be fine. But as soon as he lets all this hype get a hold of him, he's going to have some problems. So he's in for it in a big way. So I hope all the best to him. But like I said, as for Ben, no, I don't expect him to do anything generous for this young guy or anything like that, except be the guy that he is, which is just, look at me, I'm Big Ben.
Riding my motorcycle. Anyway, I think Mason Rudolph is. I mean, from everything I hear, I'm not a quarterback guru or expert or anything. Everything I'm hearing is this guy's got a good upside. He's the future of Pittsburgh, of the Steelers, or has a chance of being the future of the Steelers. Ben's done. And I think the real fans of Steeler fans, the ones that I talk to anyway, understand the problems that the Steelers are having. They've been calling for a replacement or Ben's successor for the last few years. And, somebody that they could groom, somebody that they can transition into smoothly. The fact that Ben is going to be a roadblock in that, and I hope that he changes his attitude and doesn't, then again, it would be entertaining to see the Steelers just go off the rails as a Ravens fan. But it's like I said, it's a shame to see him go out in this way. And but I don't think the Steeler fans are going to be pissed off about what we're saying here, because I think the real Steeler fans know what's going on, and they see the same thing. They understand it, and they don't like it either.
All right, well, we'll go to Coach Shayne, and then you take it straight from there, Blayne. Talking about a team whose window is obviously kind of closing. to a team who is definitely on the right direction. We talked about some of the problems the Raiders might be having, the joke that is the relationship between the coach and the GM in Cleveland. And we kind of cited some of the good relationships that have worked around the league. One of the new good relationships that looks like it's working great, and they're just killing it in the draft and trades and every which way top and then every which way but up, I guess, is the San Francisco 49ers. Why don't we start with you, Coach Shayne, and then you, Blayne. Tell me what you think about the Niners and the direction they're going and what you think about the draft that they just pulled off.
Yeah, there's no question the 49ers, and I think we can also put them in the same category as the LA Rams as well. I mean, they both are doing their homework. They're bringing in the right people, and it's working for them. And the draft picks and getting the guys that they need. They saw last year. Look at last season before they brought Garoppolo in. They were seeing exactly what they had on the field at first. And then they bring Garoppolo in. They give him some time. They're a little patient. And then all of a sudden, you start winning. Garoppolo is just like on fire out there. The guys are trusting in the system. The team is playing like balls out there. And you're like, whoa, we actually might have something. That's what they're thinking. And all of a sudden, that GM's on the phone going, who's going to be available come free market time? Because where is it that we need? What is it that we lack, etc.? Who can we make space for? So they start releasing some guys. You get rid of Hyde, you get rid of a couple of these other guys to make some salary room. And then all of a sudden you say, that's it. We're giving Garoppolo the big pay because we need him. They've established that, which is a huge thing in this league, is you need that quarterback. There's no question about it. Then every piece will fall in, and this is what they're doing. And I think they're having much success, and they're going to have much success this season as well. So I do like the direction that they're going. I do think that they're going to, if they get the run game going and they can get a tight defense up there to cause pressure, I do think that they're going to make a big statement this season as well. It's just going to, and again, you got some experienced coordinators there that have been around. So I do think that they're coaching wise, they are going to get themselves out there playing and doing some smart things. And I do kind of compare them as how the Rams are in some ways. I do think they're going to be a bit more faster like that. They're going to be a bit more action packed in some ways. So I do like the direction that they're going. So teams that are going to play them, I wouldn't underestimate them. That's my biggest thing. And I mean, as you get on with the draft fantasies and everything too, I think that's a team you got to start looking at for some players, some key players.
I like the fact that they went heavy on defense in their draft. They're working on shoring up this defense. And, other than the first and last pick, the first pick was an offensive lineman. The last pick was a wide receiver. And other than that, in the middle, you got nothing but D. And that's what they need to do, shore up that defense and be able to stop Goff and the Rams offense. This team has gone through so much drama in the last few years. I'm sorry, they had the first two picks, but they had a wide receiver in the second pick too. But this team has gone through so much drama in that front office, and these fans have suffered so much and have been embarrassed so much by that front office. Now they seem to have the ship right. Now they seem to be sailing correctly under Garoppolo, starting with the Garoppolo pick. I think that this is a team that's going to be fun to watch this year. That division is going to be fun to watch this year. And enough said. This was a good draft for them. I like their draft. I like the fact that they're building that defense, and it's going to be some fun times in Frisco.
Yeah, and that kid that they picked up from Washington is don't glaze over him because he is the real deal. I think it's just so important. Yeah, Pettis, and I think it's so important. I understand why people don't get it. If you're going to get a coach, then have the coach either keep the GM or get his own. I mean, it works over and over, but they have to be on the same page. If there's a butting of heads, or if the coach just runs over the GM, or anything besides just a really like a symbiotic, successful relationship, it's doomed to fail. It always has been. It always will be. I mean, it's just the way it works. So I don't understand why it takes them so long to see that. But I don't know. I think we talked about some of the things that are going on with the draft. I think we can pretty much this next week we can get off the draft. On Tuesday on Mancini Sports, we're definitely going to have to talk a little bit about the Green Bay draft because Hirsch is going to come in. And that was actually my.
What about Cleveland?
Oh, come on.
I think that's more an example of a team going down. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. But this is the time of year when the new starts picking up. I kind of like some of the things they did. We will talk about them. In a couple of weeks, we start our division focus. You can find us at Nuckpods, KNUCKPODS, on Twitter, same as on Facebook. Just put @Nuckpods in the search on Facebook, and you can find us there as well. You found us here at Spreaker.com/Nuckpods. And we're also on YouTube. We're all over the place. All the places where you find your podcast goodness. Coach's Show on Thursdays with Coach Taylor and Coach Shayne here. We have our Mess Around Fridays, as well as the Pigskin Preview on Tuesdays. And we'll see what comes up with the all the new good stuff we have coming up during the year. But until then, hope to see you guys back here soon. You can reach us with email questions at knuckleheadpodcasts@gmail.com. That's knuckleheadpodcasts@gmail.com. Ask us any questions in the show, and we will not only answer you back online, we will also try and get your question on the air. So for Baltimore Blayne, Coach Shayne, thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.